In this video, I'm going to be discussing what's going to happen to UK house prices in 2025. If you find this useful, hit that like button, but also subscribe to the channel because I do provide regular updates to what's going on with house prices. Now, the first thing I have to say is I don't have a crystal ball. So the best thing we can do is look at the official data that's published. There's various different ways you can look at it, and that can give you an idea of what's going on in the housing market, but also what trends may happen in the future. But I also want to give you something to watch out for that could be a bit of a bump in the road for UK house prices. And it's not just the elevated mortgage rates that are out there. Now, I'm going to go through an article on the Made to the Masses website, which we update regularly, which discusses house prices in the UK. So jumping across to that now, I will put a link to this article in the notes of this video so you can click through, bookmark it and read it at your own leisure. Now, in here, I look at various different data sets that are published officially. So I'm going to run through them relatively quickly and explain why each is different and what it's showing. So first of all, we've got the UK House Price Index. Now, this is the most accurate of the various data sets out there, and that's because it's coming from the HM Land Registry and other government sources. So it's looking at the house sales, so the transactions. But the thing is, it is delayed. So you can see the latest data we've got, even though I'm making this in January 2025, the latest data we've got is October 2024. So bearing that in mind, if we look at the trend, you can see that as we went through the second half of 2024, that house prices did tick up. The annual rate of change increased. It was around about 3.4%, but this is still in the autumn. So it doesn't reflect what's happened as we've moved into the winter of 2024 and into 2025. So jumping down then to the next data set, this is Nationwide's House Price Index. Now, this is different to the previous set of data because this is calculated from Nationwide's own data based on mortgage approvals. Now, if you look at the table on screen, you can see that the change in December, so that's the latest data we've got, December 2024, there's a monthly change of 0.7%, slightly down on November, but still positive nonetheless. But it means the annual change has actually increased to 4.7%. There are some comments you can see on screen which you can look at your own leisure, but it's basically positive overall for the market. Last year, there was a lot of concern that the market might not be sustainable in terms of the increase that we'd seen, but it had proved pretty resilient going into the back end of 2024. So that's good news. Now, if we go on to Halifax, this data comes from its own database of roughly 300,000 mortgage approvals. Now, this has shown a slightly mixed picture. You can see there in December, there was actually a fall, so of 0.2%. That dip actually took the annual change in house prices to 3.3%, down from 4.8% in November, but it's still a positive move. So although there's been that bump, that slight negative number, general trend has been up. Now, some of that could be because of the elevated mortgage rates that are out there that's starting to impact the number of people looking to buy property. And there's certainly been news articles in recent days suggesting that is the case and starting to weigh on the property market. But moving on to the final index that I want to quickly look at before I mention something else that's impacting the housing market is the Rightmove House Price Index. Now, this is different to the other indices that I've mentioned because this is based upon the data from the Rightmove portal, and it reflects the seller's confidence because it's actually based upon asking price. So it's not reflective of what houses are ultimately sold for or anything like that, but it gives you a bit of seller sentiment. So this suggests a dip in seller confidence into the back end of 2024, and as we move into 2025, it means the annual change now is actually showing a negative 1.4% in December. Now, the one concern that even Rightmove point to is the change we're going to see from the 1st of April in stamp duty rate. So what we've got at the moment, first-time buyers, for example, at the moment don't pay any stamp duty on a property's value under £425,000. That's going to change, and that band is going to drop to £300,000. So they will start paying stamp duty on the value of a property above £300,000. That means that first-time buyers will be having to pay £6,250 more from that date on a property value that's 425 or above. So it also means that first-time buyers are incentivized to try and get property sales through before the 1st of April. Now, equally for people who aren't first-time buyers, at the moment, as I make this video, they don't pay stamp duty on the value of a property below £250,000. That's changing from the 1st of April. that zero band is dropping to £125,000, and then between the value of the property between £125,000 and £250,000, there's a 2% rate. Now, I can put a link in the notes to full details of the stamp duty changes, but it does mean that people who aren't first-time buyers who are buying property could see themselves having to pay £2,500 more in stamp duty after the 1st of April. So taking that in the round, that could have an impact on the property market. People I know who work within the property market, they're already concerned about the impact because nearly every chain will have a first-time buyer in it in particular. So we could see something happen around that 1st of April. We'll have to keep an eye on it. So it's a bit of a mixed bag in summary for the housing market. Although the market has proved resilient, there is some slightly negative sentiment from sellers as we go into 2025, and there are concerns obviously of the impact of the elevated mortgage rates out there, but also those stamp duty changes that are coming in the spring. If you found this video useful, do make sure you hit that like button, but subscribe to the channel for future updates, but also ask any questions and I will do my best to answer them.